sense of soul.
Hey Soul Seekers, it's Shanna. Journey with me to discover how people around the world awaken to their true sense of soul. Now go grab your coffee and open your mind, heart, and soul.
It's time to awaken.
Today on Sense of Soul, I have Rosalyn Fung. She's known as the CEO's secret weapon as a transformational leadership business coach. Former psychologist, speaker, four-time international best-selling author, mastermind and workshop facilitator on topics of leadership, self-love, mastering your energy, money mindset, and attraction marketing. She's a multi-dimensional energy healer, a shamanic practitioner, an Akashic coach, and a keynote speaker, and you'll have to check out her recent TED Talk. We were connected by Blue Talk founder Corey Poirier. Thank you, Corey. Rosalyn, or as I know her as, Roz, has amazing energy, and I can't wait to share that with you today. And stick around to the end of this episode because Rosalyn delivers a beautiful meditation. So please welcome Roz.
Do you want to set some sacred space before we start?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome. So we can just take a breath in and a breath out. I'm just taking a little bit longer on the exhale. Thank you for allowing us to experience the pure love found here in the Akash. May we all be blessed in the Akash for the highest good and truth. May we receive what is required for our most divine path and to support the divine path of others. Please help Shanna and Sense of Soul, Rosalyn Fung Coaching, Inc. experience the pure love found here and help us be conduits for the messages of the highest good and truth for the listeners to be called in that are meant to hear, feel, sense, be stirred in our conversation today. We're now in the Akash. The record's now open. Woo! Can I just start by saying, holy moly, there's just so much activating energy out in this space. Can you feel that? Oh. Just letting yourself feel all of the divine light coming through. I just feel so much openness in the heart chakra space as we're here co-creating today and just allowing whatever needs to come through. And as we sit here, I just ask that Shanna, or your spirit guides, and my guides are here to support us in allowing the healing that needs to happen, the navigating of what you're moving through in Sense of Soul. I'm also moving because I'm very kinesthetic in my psychic abilities, but I almost see, and it's the year of the snake, but there's the snake moving through, almost like a very shallow stream, and it's sturdily moving through. My sense is that's what's happening with you, and they're reminding you how strong and resilient you are and that everything is going to be okay. And I'm grateful to be here today with you.
I've had readings with you. You're very connected, very connected. I did art last night because I'm creating that Gnostic poem I was telling you about. I'm doing a visual, and a lot of it has to do with the snake and water.
Wow. You can't make this shit up.
In fact, I'll share with you the art.
Wow. Literally the image that came through, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because it describes a space where the Mother God comes from the highest, but comes all the way down to the third dimension to help save us.
Yeah.
And Jesus and her are more like twin saviors. Go down into this almost abyss is how they describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this darkness and all of the things of the darkness.
Yes.
But she is there to shine the light on the darkness.
Yes.
She's the spark.
Yes.
That's within us. It's an allegorical story that is each one of our stories.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And like what came through as you were sharing that, thank you, was that we live in a world of duality, polarity, and without darkness, there's no light. It's a beautiful reminder. We do need both. And in my shamanic trainings, it's like, it's so important to move through our own shadows, our own triggers, because that's where the medicine lies. And so beautiful that you're channeling this painting to come into this space of embracing the light and the darkness. I think that's so powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful. I think years ago, I wanted to just find that all love and light, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you have to hold space for both,
Yes.
even in within yourself. And I think it's my
Yeah.
personal healing journey that taught me that
Mm,
you had to love that part that you were.
absolutely. Yeah, I was facilitating this weekend a high performance leadership course with my business partners at Flourishing Workplace and Certified Flourishing Coach. And we talked about like one of the pillars, we did 15 core pillars of high performance leadership. And one of the pillars that I facilitated on is positivity. And I was like telling people about, you can't always be positive. And if you are, you're then bypassing something, and that's toxic positivity. It's really about clearing the things out and releasing, so we're making room for true authenticity and truly living in who we are, embracing our life, because that's what allows us to be in this energy of quote unquote positivity.
And many times it's that anger that
Yeah.
gets you, that fierceness that gets you to the place to use your
Yeah.
voice, right? Or
Yes.
to reclaim your power.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that fire beneath your ass.
We need that.
We do, because, I think we're talking before about how I was very obedient, very complacent,
Mhm.
didn't speak, was very careful about the words that came out of my mouth for someone else. Right.
Yeah.
Passion actually isn't found really in that complacent, obedient place.
No, because you're people pleasing and you're appeasing other people to
Yeah.
not make them uncomfortable. But then
Mhm.
we're betraying ourselves because we're not being authentic to ourselves, right? I've been there too.
Gosh, so you have had many hats. I have too. You're a seeker like me. I
Yeah.
took shaman classes too. That was so fun. I was trying to connect with a Canadian ancestor,
Oh,
which you're from Canada. Am I right?
yes.
Yeah. Where are you?
I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, which is for those who are listening and don't know the geography. We're the second province from the west, and we are the capital city of Alberta. But most people know Calgary, actually, which is 3 hours south. And I actually was born in Calgary, but I was raised in Edmonton since I was 4. So Edmonton is home, and Calgary is
So,
like my second home.
do you share the Rocky Mountains with me?
Calgary does.
Oh, Calgary does.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Yeah. Calgary's close to the mountains and Canmore and Banff. Like Canmore is my favorite place in Alberta. It's just so beautiful in terms of like getting out there, and I love hiking. Like
You
that's one of
do.
our
Yeah.
my sons are named after mountains actually.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah. My husband and I love hiking so much. So
Yeah. I mean, I just to be in nature, which is something that I had fallen away from for so many years. It's like the busyness of life, having a lot of kids. I live in a cookie cutter house in a little neighborhood, just having all that.
suburbia. Yeah.
I love
Yes. I live in suburbia too, but I actually love it. And then I appreciate being out in here in Edmonton. We have this beautiful river valley, which is bigger than Central Park in New York, like in terms of like how much coverage it has. It's so beautiful. And I just appreciate it more because we live in, and I do like suburbia. I like the mix of things, but I appreciate it that much more. Just being in nature and the grounding that it gives us, right? Mother Nature is amazing.
Roz, I must say, you're in so many different groups and corners. I see you all the time. Your energy is super just fun and almost addicting. And I, I just love it so much.
Thank
How
you.
did you fall into this? And like, if I ever went to like one of Corey's boot camps and you weren't there, I think I'd leave.
Oh, you're so sweet. Yes, I know that I do bring the energy to everything
Real.
that I am and I do because it's me. Like, I hope that we get to meet in real life someday
Yeah.
because this is me. And I think the biggest compliment is when people meet me in real life, they're like, oh my God, you're exactly like how you show up on social media. And I'm like, yeah, how would I be any other way? Like, this is me. But
Right.
it is true. I mean, it's like the greatest compliment. It is heartbreaking when I meet people in real life that I've been connected or like you kind of
Yeah.
like follow and then they're not authentic to what you believed it to be, but it's just
Yeah.
incongruent.
Devastating.
And
Yes.
yes, people are allowed to have bad days, but like there's a big congruency sometimes. So I'm like incongruency. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
That is.
So yeah, my story. Thank you for asking, and I hope that for our listeners here, I know that many can relate with my story in terms of the theme. So let's take me back to 2008. I'm 25 years old. My life looks quote unquote perfect. I had just started private practice as a psychologist. I was newlywed. Dan and I are still happily married and together with. I'm so blessed to have a wonderful husband that does his work too, and we love to do the work together. And I was a second degree black belt in karate and a role model to kids, teens, and adults. And I was really confident in everything that I did. But behind closed doors, I was feeling like this void. Like, yes, I'm achieving all the goals that I've set out for myself, but deep inside, Shanna, I just felt empty. Like I felt, and I wasn't really super conscious about this. I had not, even as a psychologist, I'm really good at helping other people. I have a master's in marriage and family, so I was a counseling psychologist. And yet, like, I couldn't figure out, like, what is this thing inside that I keep trying to fill? And again, not really conscious of it.
Mhm.
And so I thought, okay, what's next? Maybe if I have this perfect body, I'll finally be happy or I'll feel like I've arrived. Okay, I'll do that. So I competed in a figure bodybuilding competition. And I'll say, like, probably in my later teens, early adulthood, that's when I started becoming more of a chronic dieter. I was more self-conscious about my body. It was then that I started hitting the gym when I entered university, and then you're looking in the mirrors and you're looking at your body, you're comparing yourself. And I'm like, oh, I'm not as lean. Oh, I don't have like as much muscle, And so I was always athletic and healthy and fit. And I just never felt like I was good enough or
So that body dysmorphia.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. And so definitely disordered eating, which means I didn't meet the criteria for binge eating, but I definitely binge ate. So I was in this secret cycle of restricting my food, binge eating, feeling guilty, beating myself up. And my form of purging was over exercising. And so finally back on the stage in this competition, I came in last place. I lost and I was devastated because I knew, like, holy moly, how could I have worked so hard at this and failed? And again, because my life looked quote unquote perfect on the outside, I achieved everything that I wanted to achieve. And this was just really devastating. And so, I really think about who I would have become had this not happened, because this was a very pivotal moment for me. And that led me to do some inner work. And I was led to learn about this method that works with the unconscious mind called Haikomi. And it means, how do I stand in relationship with myself and how do I stand in relationship with others? So it's a somatic approach, meaning it's body centered and works with and of course, because our body holds our unconscious beliefs, which make up 90% of our mind and our thoughts. It's an approach that brings in psychology, neuroscience, and at this time, I'm like this thing called spirituality. And so
Did you have a spiritual?
I was not spiritual back then. No, my parents are actually atheists. I'm first generation Chinese Canadian. Nobody ever guesses what I am. I don't look Chinese. I even was like, I look like I'm half, or people are always like Hawaiian or Filipino or something. And I'm like, yeah, but I took a DNA test. I'm 100% Southeast Asian.
Wow.
Yeah. And so coming back to here, what I learned, because when you're learning something, you're not working on your own stuff. I was actually led to learn about this. I just felt called. And I learned that unconsciously I was running on this belief of I'm valued in my doingness. So my performance, my status, my titles, how much money I'm making, all the societal things that we would see as quote unquote success, rather than my beingness, who I am. And my doingness was never enough. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm a perfectionist and overachiever, like this mentality of no pain, no gain. And that was when I started to come home to myself. And I don't believe that journey ever ends, right? And I was like, okay. So I learned how to embrace perfectly imperfects, learned the art of slowing down. And then now I've turned this pain to my purpose today. It's really about helping others be fully expressed in who they authentically are, create life and business from who they authentically are, and have what they desire. So be, do, have. And it's interesting, I joke, but it's actually true because I evolve. I'm obsessed with personal and spiritual and business development, right? But as I evolve, my business evolves over time. And so I've changed my title so many times over these years, but really, whatever portal it is, whether in the past it was psychologist, now it's a transformational leadership and business coach and spiritual guide. My purpose is to help people really come home to themselves through these portals. And coming back to this story, so I got certified in Haikomi. It transformed my life and the way it works with my clients so much. Then I got certified in eating psychology, ran lots of food and body image, self-love groups for women. I ran one for men, and then I had lots of one-on-ones. So I became the go-to psychologist in this area in my city. And then in 2015, now I'm coming from this place of, okay, what more is possible for me to create, not from this place of not enoughness and needing to achieve, but rather from this place of like, my soul feels so called to expand my impacts. And so I did something that was a lot of red tape, which was I became the first psychologist in my province to put out an online program, which is a huge no-no. So in the States, it's very different in terms of how psychologists can operate. I believe in the States, you can be a coach and a psychologist at the same time. But in Canada, it's a lot more strict. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to figure out legally and ethically. And I did. And then in 2015, I rolled out my program and more doors opened up. And I got my first international speaking gig. I got a magazine cover and I wrote a 4-page article on how to flex your self-love muscle. This was for a women's body positivity community. And from there, just more doors opened and women started reaching out to me and asking if I can work with them. But I couldn't because they weren't in the province I'm licensed in. So over a short period of time, I started to wonder, how can I make this happen? Right? How can I, because I want to help more people and I want to be in that space of limitlessness. And so I hired a business coach. This would have been 8 years ago, started a self-love coaching business. And at this point in time, I also got certified in Reiki because I found out I was very intuitive. Gosh, that's another story in itself, but
You have many stories.
And I forgot to even finish the story. So my parents are atheists. I grew up in Catholic schools.
Oh, okay.
And so I believed in God. And so I just knew there was just more coming through here. And I was just led to learn about Reiki, and that opened up more. I had an intuitive coach as well. Discovered I was very intuitive, but I had shut it off out of trauma. when my first son, who's now 12, was born. And so all like, and how, I'm sure people are like, how, tell us how. But basically, I always felt super scared about going into haunted houses that were fake, right? At the carnivals, watching horror movies.
Me too.
Can't do it. Can't do it. No, thank you. And one of my girlfriends who I hired as my first intuitive coach, she's like, Roz, I just see you trying to open the door, but your parents are on the other side saying, not until you calm down. And immediately had a flashback as if I was this 4-year-old girl. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. I said, what happened? She's like, you saw an earthbound ghost. So a spirit that didn't know they were dead, right? Like, oh my gosh. And to this day, I still remember he looked like a normal man, overweight. He was wearing like a plaid shirt and trousers, and he had a beard, and he was yelling at me and my parents. And of course they couldn't see, and I could see his 4-year-old child. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but I couldn't remember what he said. And so my friend reminded me, she's like, he was yelling at you because he didn't know he was dead to get out of his house, because we were renting a place at the time. We had just moved from Calgary to Edmonton, actually. And my parents
That's
were
scary though.
Oh, it was. And then they locked me in the room with the ghost. So that's what happened. And I'm like, oh my God, no wonder. And so I'm like, wow. Like, and I hired her right away and just helped her. And she helps me like learn how to like tap into my intuition and connects more with my high self. And so the journey has not stopped since. So I resigned as a psychologist. I went full into my coaching business, which was really scary, of course, because you have to work through all your imposter syndrome and my beliefs around what if I fail, right? And my parents being Asian, they thought I was being brainwashed. They literally thought I was being brainwashed by my business coach. So they actually stopped talking to me for a bit, which was tough because I'm pretty close with my parents. But I also had done enough work to know like that's not my stuff, and I just got to keep going, bet on myself, and just go full in. My husband fully supported me, and I created wonderful success in my coaching business very quickly. And I had a big coming out event, and I invited my parents to say, hey, it's my retirement party as a psychologist and my welcoming party going full in as a life and business. I called myself back then a self-love life and business coach. And I worked with a lot of women in the corporate space and entrepreneurs. And that just took off really quickly. I had my first business mastermind. And so as I got more spiritual, tuned in over years, I'm like certified in 3 different energy modalities. I'm a shamanic practitioner. I also got certified in the Akashic Records. So and then I also do NLP, hypnotherapy, and timeline therapy, which is really powerful because it works in the quantum physics. But yes, so now when you've had a session with me where we're, what the Akashic Records are, I can talk a little bit more about that. Basically, we live in the 3rd dimensional world. When we tap into our purpose, we're actually tapping into the 4th dimension, because you can feel that energy, right? And that passion. It's like, oh, I'm doing this because it feels so aligned.
Right. And it's not something physical you can just go and grab. I mean, if we could, it'd be very...
Yeah.
I wish we could.
And then exactly. And then our 5th, when we tap into our intuition, that's our 5th dimension. So Akashic Records starts around, and there's different theories, but it starts around, they say the 8th dimension, and then it goes into the highest energetic realm, which is the 12th dimension. And so as we're sitting in the 12th dimension, which is so beautiful, it's a space of like channeling God consciousness. And it's this beautiful energy of channeling in my clients' guides, their angels. So masters, teachers, and loved ones. So masters are angels with you all your life. Teachers are specific angels for certain lessons. And loved ones are people that we knew in this lifetime and have passed and crossed. So in the records, I can open up the records of your soul. Because I also do leadership and business coaching, I open up the records for your business, because your business has a separate entity, and it is a separate entity, sorry. And it's also, sometimes what's really interesting is the business owner could be doing, like, their records are doing great. They're in this high vibration, but I'll talk about an example. I had a client whose business, literally when we opened it up, it was like falling on her energetically. Like, so my clairs are, can see through my third eye, see visions, images, and
Yeah.
sometimes they show me Disney cartoons. It's really fun. And then I'm claircognizant, so I hear the guides as if it's in my own thoughts, and I feel a lot. I'm so very, very kinesthetic. So I'm clairsentient. And so I get messages through the feelings, and then the guides move me a lot. So when I move to the right, that's a yes. I move to the no. I mean, left, that's a no. Future is to the right, and I actually turn to, like, the further I'm looking in the future, the more I turn. And then the past is the opposite to my left. And so with this, it's really cool because as we tune in with this client, I could feel how not confident her business was. And the guides led me to a past life where her business was a very successful small seamstress business. And it was taking place in 1800s. And then this big box store came in, and the owners were very nasty and they crushed her business. And that's where the business lost confidence. So I also have the ability to clear karma. So that's what we did. And I speak light language, which is language that only our souls can understand. It's divine language, and it clears and heals anything that doesn't serve and support, and activates and amplifies the highest good and truth that would support my clients in their purpose and path. And so I cleared energetically. So this is where all my tools can come in terms of my background as an energy worker, a shamanic practitioner, a former psychologist, working with unconscious mind. So I clear all of that. And then we revive through healing and light language, the business. And then I can look in the future with this client. I could see, I can feel 2 really big contracts coming in. And I described them. And then she called me, like, I think a couple weeks later, and she was like, so I got 2 new big client contracts. I'm like, amazing. So the stuff that comes through is really incredible. And then if there's blocks in this lifetime, the guides will show me, and this is where I'm doing the Haikomi work. So I'm doing somatic work, shifting the unconscious beliefs and helping people come, into their power. Sometimes we do reclaim your power kind of exercises, so that my clients always feel leaving more clear, more confident, more certain about their path. And they have actual practical action steps, because as woo as I am, I also love to give people practical action steps, because you have to take action, right? And so they leave with clarity, and then they go and take those steps.
That, Roz, such a beautiful story that you just told, because I could totally see the progression and how important each step, so it's, sometimes people think, I got this degree, I'm not even using it, or I spent all this time working on this and now it was for nothing. But it's not. I felt the same thing. I remember my dad made me go to school for like HTML, like
That's amazing. What? They have classes for HTML?
Oh my God, because it was just coming out. I mean, I thought to myself, this isn't my gig, but I did it for him. It's a family business, and he made my brother do the same. But, I thought I would never use it. And of course, it's very useful.
Yes.
Extreme. I mean, I understand the whole, back end of websites. But did you see any of this when you were younger? I mean, you must have been.
No.
I never thought I'd be where I am today. Me either.
Yes.
Not at all.
Yes, never. In fact, it's so funny, because had I appeased my parents, which I initially did, I would have went and became an engineer, and then I found out how much math that requires. And I'm like, I'm not an Asian that can do math.
That's so funny. I'm going to recommend one of my episodes, and I really dearly loved it. In fact, I felt such a connection with this man. His name's Richard Perkins Sung, and he was born in China. His mother was from China, and he wrote a book called, his mother wrote it, but he helped her publish it after I think she was still alive, but it's called Spring Flower. And a lot of what we talked about because ancestry is a huge part of my journey. I mean, I even became a genealogist, and it's more of an ancestral
Very
healing
cool.
genealogist
Yes.
because of my journey, kind of like how you were falling into your things. But
Yes.
a lot of things stopped with you, right? I
Mhm.
know all the women.
Yes.
I can actually connect with your grandmothers, and they
Yes.
are like, wow,
Mm.
what a woman, right?
You feel that?
They're so proud of you. And he talks a lot about this in his episode with that Chinese background, but it doesn't matter. Women in general, for you to be where you are today, using your voice, I can tell there's no limits for Roz, okay? No limit.
Nope, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Ah, create that
It's,
legacy. Yeah.
it just, it's in our DNA to not be. And
Mm-hmm.
so for you to be is very inspiring.
Thank you.
I love your
Thank
story.
you. And I love that you mentioned my grandmother. So I love that you tuned in because I always like to get my Akashic records read actually. And so I can access my own, but it's always because every Akashic reader, I call myself a channeler because all my other gifts come in. So a typical Akashic reading is just that. It's like a card reading. You get readings, but typically if the practitioner isn't trained in clearings, then there really isn't that. It's more of a reading. But
Yeah.
typically, I like to see people who can do readings as well as the clearings. My teacher is amazing as well. What I got was, and I think it's like if I tune in right now, 3 generations back, so great 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 grandma, she was very much like me, but she couldn't, for the times that she was living in, she couldn't do what I've been doing. So it's almost like in some ways I could feel how proud she is of me because I am very much like her and I've been taking it to this trailblazing, bold and unapologetic level, being in my purpose and really creating the impact. So yeah, I do think my lineage is, it's been allowed to be publicly and shared. In fact, my parents aren't, like I said, they're atheists, right? So it's interesting because I feel that if my mom allowed herself to be more intuitive, I feel that there would be a whole lot more fullness for her in that sense. But
Yeah.
she's kind of stuck in her own ways, and that's okay, you know?
I was also really feeling that triple goddess energy, right? How we move in from that maiden self to that mother self, and then moving into the crone, which I'm moving into my crone. And it's age, which a lot of women fear, right? It's a fear. We're not going to be valued anymore because we're not as beautiful as we were in the maiden self. It's the transitions that we go through, the cycles that we go through, almost are like a rebirth to me now that I look at them. I
Yeah.
mean, I, and whether you're a mother and have children or just you're still in that mother energy, right? You're still birthing something,
Yes.
like whatever that looks like. Or like for myself, for the first time, finding this solace and actually craving space and time and like
Mhm.
reading more, right? More wisdom and knowledge. But there's so many conditions we have to fight against that are so deeply rooted in us from our ancestors, from the women in
Mhm.
our lineages. Like women can be CEOs, right? Women can be successful. We're much more. We're much more than we know. And it does start with self-love.
It absolutely does. And research even shows women are actually better leaders.
Yeah.
Women are actually better leaders, but there's such a big confidence gap. And this is what I
Yeah.
love working with leaders in general, but particularly with women in terms of like helping them step into their own power and then own possibilities and creating life on their own terms and looking at how can I do that? And even me for myself moving into the corporate space. So for the last like year and a half, I've been in this corporate space, but prior to that, last 4.5 years, I was specializing in working with life and spiritual coaches, healers, light workers to help them bring themselves out online and, social media marketing and messaging and speaking as well, and selling, soulful selling. So that's where I was hanging out and playing in the last 4.5 years. And then a year and a half ago, Spirit called me and it's like, all right, let's move into the corporate space. I have to work through my own imposter syndrome. Every time I up level, there's imposter syndrome. So I just say, if you guys are feeling it, don't let it stop you. Just be like, all right, there you are. Okay, and let's move forward. And putting myself in rooms that I noticed my thoughts were like, oh my God, am I going to be too woo? Are people going to be able to relate with me? And so I'm like, I don't want to betray myself and put myself back in a box and fit in. No, because that's no. And so I just leaned into being myself, and I would have conversations with people. And what I really learned is in the corporate space, because we're all humans. We're all souls having a human being experience. People are spiritually hungry over there. And again, yes, people come in through the doorway of leadership or business coaching, but a lot of people are connecting with me because they're like, I've been really wanting to lean more into my spiritual self because they know there's more. They may have a business coach already. They're like, I want to know more about myself. And how can I tune into my own intuition and what's there for me so I can lean in and be a better leader? Because that is the hidden edge of peak performance, is tapping into our high self, divine energy.
And that high self, and I definitely learned this through the Gnostic Gospels, and through my journey with connecting with a different perspective on Jesus's teachings.
Yes.
You know what? We are creators.
Yes.
It's a shift in perspective of what a woman is. But I mean, for Christ's sake, we can give birth.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, we can do powerful and hard things.
Have this womb where everything can be created, whether it's a business, whether it's, the relationship you want, right? We need to learn how to tap back into that deep, and it's dark in there. It's dark and dense. And I think that's another thing we started out talking about. We're the light in that dark space. But many fear to go into that. There's a lot of fear there that keeps women from moving into their greatest potential.
Which is on the other side through the shadows. And, in shamanism, we embrace the mystery. And it's kind of like, if we can think about it more in a maybe more fun, light sort of vibe, is it's like when you get goodie bags from birthday parties, right? Or when we go to events and we get these goodie bags, we're like, oh my gosh, what kind of goodies can we?
Yeah, I love those.
I want us to see it that way. It's like, what's there? Let's go there, and don't let those, because it's just, and feelings never kill us, right? They're just feelings. It's about allowing ourselves to regulate through our feelings and just moving into that space. I know, easier said than done. And growth never happens in the comfort zone. So we're stepping outside our comfort zone. But when I work with my clients through NLP, which is neuro linguistics program, and hypnotherapy, and timeline therapy, which is a type of hypnotherapy, oh my gosh, it is so powerful. I have this quantum breakthrough program where within 10 hours, and we got to do it within 30 days. Okay. 10 hours within 30 days, you literally will clear all your karma, because we're getting to the root. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to talk about your trauma. You don't have to talk about it, because unconscious mind already holds it. And it's in this lifetime. Your unconscious mind will know if it's in this lifetime, past lives, or genealogical. And it's so cool, because when I learned about these techniques and this method, this process, I was like, wow, I thought I worked quickly using Haikomi, which I still do. But with this quantum breakthrough, even quicker. And literally, you're clearing 7 negative emotions really quickly from the root. It's like, take a pearl necklace, right? And one of those pearls is the root event. And for example, let's say we're clearing anger. Every event in this lifetime, and if it was from past life or during birth or genealogically, will be, and let's say each of those pearls are signified as a event. Since the root, literally you pull the root and everything goes. And then you literally, and we do that with 7 negative emotions, all healthy. All emotions are healthy, but we just don't want to keep hanging on to it because it's heavy, right? And it can create misperceptions from us, and it's getting us back to our original blueprint. So we actually feel like we have a clean slate. People feel so much more energized, lighter, and then you see the world differently. And then we do the same with limiting decisions or beliefs. That's what we call as limiting decisions. And then we have parts of us. We do parts integration where you have, let's say there's conflicting values like freedom and responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. And often self-sabotage comes in because unconsciously we have these conflicting beliefs. So when I work with my clients with unconscious mind, we actually integrate these two values that feel like they're conflicting into wholeness so that the person feels integrated. These parts are integrated and they feel whole again and they don't feel conflicted. It's almost like you can't put words to it. It happens on an unconscious level. And so what happens is you actually start to live your life. And it's not efforting. It's not willpower, which is conscious mind. Willpower is like, okay, I'm going to work out. I'm going to hit these goals, and people sign up for the gym on January 1st, and then they are dying off by like January 30th, right? So It's not that. It literally feels like you're brushing your teeth and things literally start to flow to you and all these opportunities. So even with, and I discovered this not that long ago. I did my TEDx called How Great Leaders Invite Uncertainty. And I did it just back in November because we're recording this. This is January, but I had no anxiety for TEDx. No anxiety. I was actually looking for it. I was like, where is it? And then they have this thing where you can download. It's called Master's Timeline. You can download someone you admire that has passed. And their resources. So I had my trainer download Steve Jobs because innovative, magnetic, impactful, even after he's passed, he's still making a global movement, and so I'm like, okay, let's download Steve Jobs. And so what happened is literally I could see in this it was timeline therapy. I could see Steve Jobs almost like I'm in the Matrix downloading the resources energetically. I could feel it coming into me. And then you can't say like what tangible results, well, you can't guarantee like what tangible results will happen, but here's what happened for me. Like 2 weeks later, I walked up 2 networking events with paying clients, with people that didn't know me very well, that led to more business opportunities, an MC gig, which then closed more clients. And I'm just like, whoa, this is happening at quantum level. What's happening? Like, I'm like, okay, I'm fully ready. I've got my seat. Like, give it to me, universe. And so it's been really cool seeing that with my clients too. They literally have been quantum leaping, whether it's in their business, new clients, more money, in personal life, relationships. For me, I'm also working on my soccer performance. I play on a women's competitive team after now 20 years.
Stop. Okay, stop, Roz. What?
I know, I play on a master's team.
Also, on the side, I play on a soccer team. Hello. Who are you? Are you human?
I like to be, like well-rounded.
Okay.
So, yeah.
First of all, I have to tell you, I've been hearing this quick thing from so many people. So obviously we've moved timelines collectively into a space where healing's not supposed to take a decade. Yeah. Also, I love that you work multidimensionally. You have great tools for every aspect of our very multidimensional self. And when you mentioned Steve Jobs, I got this very strong visual of, again, it's like this divine feminine I'm very close to the divine feminine right now. So, of course, in the Bible, on the advice of the crafty serpent who assured Eve, who is a embodiment of Sophia, that she surely would not die upon eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And she ate the fruit. And this only brought her wisdom and also awareness, right, of her conscious mind. And to make a free choice. And it clearly says, surely you will not die, right? And this is from the tree of knowledge, right? And so, I feel like even from the very beginning, some of the things that we've been taught have been taught in a way that doesn't serve women. And so I'm always like, go eat your fruit. And actually, it wasn't an apple. It was likely a pomegranate or something else. Apple's not even mentioned in the Bible. But the stories that we've been told, right? The narratives that run in our mind, these programs are
Yes.
old, and a lot of them are just made by men for men.
Our ancestors took those on, right?
Yeah.
And our like past lives took those. So it's like we actually carry this stuff in our
Yeah.
unconscious mind, which is related to the quantum field, right? Quantum field going above fifth dimension and above. So it all relates with the Akashic records as well.
Yeah, which is what I think is so important for you to be able to not just know what your purpose is in this life. Of course, it's very important because you're here for a reason. And so
Yes.
you better get on it. And a lot of times it's not in the check boxes that you get to choose when you're 18 years old to decide your fate.
Exactly.
It's not there. We're in a different time. We're in a time where we are more conscious. These kids that are coming in are crazy, amazing. And
Yes.
so we need to step it up. We're working in this higher dimension. So it's not just about the physical stuff. It's not just about the psychology and the human brain.
Yeah.
So that's why I love that you offer other, amazing tools like the Akash. So we could go into there and
Yeah.
find out what is the deeper meaning of our soul, this energy that never dies.
And I want to acknowledge it takes a lot of courage.
It
It
does.
takes a lot of courage for both of us to be like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to move into the unknown. I'm going to embrace the mystery. I'm going to see what's there.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful on the other side. So I would just want our listeners to be really like taking that in as like, feel the fear and do it
Yeah.
anyway, move through it anyway. Surround yourself with people who are like minded, join communities,
Yeah.
um, listen to, and I wouldn't say just listen. I mean, obviously, people are listening to this podcast, which is very powerful and so informative, and I love it. And join communities where there's more conversations going on in
Yeah.
this space of what interests you and what piques you, because this is where the real awakening is going to be. It happens in relationship. It doesn't happen alone. And yes, relationship with spirit, but also relationship with people, because we live in this 3D world. So it's bringing heaven on earth. It's bringing, you create your own reality with your thoughts. And so
Mhm.
are your thoughts moving you in the direction you desire, or are they holding you back? This is where I can come and help, right? And thoughts are everything. Our results, desired and undesired, are based on our unconscious mind. And
Mhm.
so if we don't like something, it's really about looking at, okay, what unconscious beliefs do I have that's creating these unwanted results? And sometimes we don't know. That's how hidden it is. I mean, I
Yeah.
have my own person to help me look at my unconscious thoughts because they're blind spots. So it's truly so important to be in relationships with and communities with people who can support.
But Roz, let me also just say that I was a soccer coach.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. Soccer.
But I also was a softball coach, cheerleading coach, and everything.
Wow. Who are you? This is awesome. I love all the multi-dimensional ways we are, right?
Yeah, it is very amazing that we think
Yeah.
that maybe the further we get away from planning everything in our life
Yes.
is going to lead us astray. But actually, that surrender and learning how to trust yourself and having the courage to move into the energy of passion and purpose and following that. Like you said, it's not a 3D thing. And I love that you said that, because I think that a lot of people think it's surface when we're talking about purpose and what your passion is, but
100%.
it's not. It's not at all. It's something that's deep within us.
Yes. And actually, that is one of my gifts. And when people come see me for an Akashic Soul session, is one of my purposes is to help people find their purpose. So it's like I tap into what their soul's purpose is, and I can see the path. Now, this is not a fortune telling ball, but it's the highest timeline. And then sometimes in a past life, the client's soul was a very powerful archetype. And if they show up, that means they want to support them in this lifetime for their purpose and path.
I have to make clear to people, because this is happening to me and I've seen it happen with other people. So we get to a point where we're on that path to our purpose, we're creating and all this. I mean, I've done this with Sense of Soul. I mean, I never thought Sense of Soul would be what it was going, what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
But it also has also helped me heal some of the things that maybe I thought was healed but aren't. Say, for instance, I was a people pleaser. I'm a yes person. I was a yes person. I have a list of no's, like quotes I can use
Yes.
in
Yes.
my phone because it's
That's
not natural to me.
awesome.
I have to actually
Right.
go and look, like, what
You got
can
to
I
process
say?
that into your unconscious mind. Yes.
Yes. But I'm very overwhelmed sometimes because I overbook myself, right? I don't
Mm,
finish tasks that I
yes.
want to do because I'm giving to the podcast and not to myself. I
Ah,
mean, because I love it too. It's not like work. I love this part, but there's a lot of work outside of our
yes.
conversation, Roz. You know this. You have a
Yes.
podcast.
Yes.
I have to go and edit it, and I have to return phone calls, and I have to connect with people, and I have to vet people. I have to read books. I mean, right here, yesterday's guest, right? I mean,
Hard
and I had
girl.
another one come in the mail
Yeah.
yesterday. I have to watch Puppy, and she just ate
Yeah.
my slipper while we've been on the. So, yeah, it's about balance. And that's basically what it comes down to. You have to always keep your balance, but you also have to remember to keep using the tools that
Yeah.
got you here in the first place to your passion and purpose.
Yes, absolutely. And if I can reframe that, I actually don't believe in balance, but I believe in harmony.
It's that same energy. Like,
Yes. Yes, the harmony is balance within.
yeah.
And I love what you just shared because I also used to have that pattern of saying yes to, because you get so passionate, right? Like
Yeah. I'm like,
my
oh my
human
God, yes,
design,
I have to.
yeah, my human design is, those of you who follow human design, is manifesting generator. So
Me too.
I can, are you, of course you are,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? We can come up with so many ideas. And then the danger is like
Oh,
we start so many things, but we don't finish it. And so it's really being clear about our own boundaries and having our own discipline to say no. And like, is it a no or not right now? Right? And then push it back to
and
later.
these are the things that
Yeah.
I was working on before I got here. So they're coming up again. And
Yeah.
so I can either face them again, know that I was able to overcome them before,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I got lax to thinking I'm healed from it forever.
No. And that's what though the quantum breakthrough with NLP, hypnotherapy, and timeline, and then I do Akashic Records in there, that program within 8-10 hours can clear all this. So you're in a new pattern. You're like, it won't feel like efforting to be in the desired pattern. It actually
Mhm.
just feels like it's effortless and flow. Like I can't tell you just how powerful this is, Shanna. Like just even for my own self. Okay, so this is what one of my bad habits was, is when you wear clothes only for a couple hours, they're not clean, but they're not dirty. Like you could
Yeah.
probably wear it for, another day or so. So I'm sure a lot of us can relate. What do we do with those? We usually just I put it on the floor, to be honest. Like, or like, it's
Throw it
hanging
in
on
the
my
closet.
drawers, or
Yeah.
like hanging on my couch in my room. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to just hang that back up and maybe have a section where I hang up these clothes. It's so funny because the methods actually take a little bit longer to explain to clients how to set it up. And then the actual technique itself is like quick. And so within doing that technique, of course, I have somebody do it on me during my certification. So this was back in November. I've been hanging up my clothes like it's no big deal every single night. Not the dirty clothes. Those
Yeah.
obviously just on hamper, but every single night, effortlessly, like it's brushing my teeth. And I made a joke about it because the first night that I did it, my husband
Mhm.
and I were like, hey, like it's time to have some fun. And I was like, hang on, I'm just gonna hang out my clothes first. And I am usually I'm never making
Oh.
excuses for sexy
Dude,
time.
I have ADHD, so that
Me
definitely
too.
would be a really big one for me too.
Yeah, actually, this also helps because I am diagnosed with ADHD, and not surprised because we're Manny Gens. And so this method helps with like shifting some of the many ideas and the focus, because we don't have a focus problem. We have
Yeah.
a too many ideas problem, and then now
There's
we
many
need to actually
things.
just commit to like prioritizing, right?
Mhm.
So the method actually helps you shift that too.
Yeah, I definitely, you know what I do? So I think that I use creativity to avoid. I was telling you I was doing this video because of this thing.
Yeah.
There was so many things that I should have been doing. Like, but here I am just like escaping in this art. crime. I've been watching true crime like a ton, just stuff like that. But at least I'm aware. I just need to tap back into my toolbox.
You already know what to do. I think you're just talking it out. And it's like,
Yeah.
I have a mantra, body before business, right? When we first wake up,
Yes.
it's like, go and respond to you first.
You
A
first.
lot of
Yeah.
people, are already checking their social media, their text messages, their emails. And now what are we doing? We're reacting to other people first thing in the morning. That sets a tone of your day. And then what does that do? Like you're all of a sudden off, you're not feeling grounded, anxious. It's like,
Yeah.
stop. Well, first of all, I want to say, I know that so many people can relate with what you shared about how you avoid doing something by doing creativity. That's common, or health, or helping other people. And then we put ourselves last or whatever. Or it could be a procrastination thing, right? It's like, you need to do this and move yourself forward in your health or your business or whatever. But you do this creativity thing, you avoid by doing that. And I don't look at things as good or bad or right or wrong. I mean, obviously, if somebody's like intending to hurt and harm somebody, then that's wrong. But I'm looking more so from a perspective of like how we quote unquote do our problems. And so in NLP, hypnotherapy, and timeline, we actually look at studying how do you do your problem. And then we actually shift that from pulling the root. But what I'd like to do right now is invite us into me walking you through an experiential exercise that you could actually do every single morning. It's a very powerful tool so that you can ground yourself, and then you'll be able to handle whatever comes your way, no matter what.
Yes.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's going to be a bit of a guided visualization meditation. So I'm going to invite all of us just to take a breath in. You can have a soft gaze or close your eyes. Of course, if you're driving, please come back to this later. Just letting yourself just take a breath in. And then on the exhale, take a little bit longer than the exhale and just release it. Letting all of the things that don't serve and support in this moment float away. Any busy thoughts, just put them on a cloud. You can always come back to it later. This time, as you breathe in through your root, which is where your sex organs are. Take your breath and move it into your belly, which is your womb space. Then they move it into your solar plex. Inhaling into your heart space. Really feel it in the front and the back, moving it into your throat chakra, your third eye, your crown, which is the top of your head, and all the way up to source. Giving your breath to source. And as you exhale, imagine now your source is wrapping light into your breath and moving it back down through your chakras. So your crown, your third eye, your throat, your heart space, your solar plex, your womb, your root, and then all the way through to the ground where your feet are. And imagine Mother Earth welcoming in this energy and infusing it with her beautiful, warm, unconditional love. And she sends it back into the soles of your feet, energizing you with her beautiful energy. And breathing in again and feeling this light wrap in and touch every fiber of your being, your cells, your bloodstream, your organs. And this light also wraps around you like a bubble. Just feeling this right now. And then exhaling back down into your feet. This is your energetic foundation, your roots. Beautiful. Feeling that energy in your energetic foundation. Now breathing in again, all the way up to source light energy, move through all your chakras. You can even squeeze your perineum. It's your root, your sex organs, getting a little bit of that kundalini feel, moving that breath all the way up to source light energy. And then this time, as you suspend your breath here, feel yourself conjuring in your life force energy, conjuring in your power. Now we're going to breathe through your solar plex, which is your power center. And then as you exhale, create a bubble around you. Beautiful. And we're feeling your soul's essence in this bubble. And this bubble is protection. It's bulletproof from anything that doesn't serve and support on the conscious and unconscious level in your energy field. Anything that's less than love and light just bounces off and gets transmuted into positive energy through Mother Earth. Again, consciously, unconsciously, and consciously. And then anything that is of love and light and that will support you in elevating gets to come into this bubble, gets to elevate and uplift you. And this bubble can look however you want it to look. Maybe it's translucent, but again, it's bulletproof. And notice your power in this bubble. In this place, I often call with my clients your place of power. That you can call it what resonates most with you. Maybe for some of you, it's place of peace, serenity, home, authenticity, safety. And just taking a breath in again. And then breathing through your solar plexus, strengthen with your breath into this bubble. This place of power is always available to you, no matter what you're doing, who you're with, or where you're at. Just a reminder that you can tap in by breathing in and then breathing out this bubble and saying something powerful, not a powerful affirmation like, I am present, I am powerful, I am protected, I am connected. I get to shine my light. I'm here to serve and support. Whatever you're going through right now, you can choose the words that resonate with you. And you can evoke this bubble first thing you get up in the morning. Doesn't need to take this long, literally just a breath in and a breath out with a couple affirmations before your feet hit the ground and you go to the bathroom. Because most of us do that. This bubble can be here before you start your workday, before you enter a building, before you enter an important meeting or a talk that you're going to be doing and delivering, or a sales call or a date, whatever it may be. But this bubble is always here. Maybe you're going into a family gathering and you know there's going to be lots going on. Put your bubble on so you allow yourself to stay connected and keep yourself protected from things that don't serve and support. And now you get to respond to your day from this place. Just taking a breath in again, and then grounding it all the way down into your energetic foundations at your feet. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, just very slowly and gently come on back. Take your awareness and attention out into the room. You may want to slowly and gently open your eyes. Let the light softly come in. Blink a few times. And just notice, you might notice colors look a little bit more vivid. Notice your internal world. It probably feels a little bit more spaciousness. Maybe even still. Notice the thoughts in your mind that might have slowed down a bit. You can see them a little bit more clearly. Or maybe it's even quiet. There's no right or wrong here. But with more practice in this space, the more resilient you can be to what comes at you with stress, with people, with events, that you get to just still be here as you and handle your day with more grace and grits and resilience. So I'm just going to check in. How is that for you, Shanna? What are you noticing?
Amazing. I am capable. I am capable.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah. In that space, I named it all of the above.
Beautiful.
All of the above. Yeah. Yeah. I have some spiritual hygiene, you know? It's like we spend so much time prepping the body,
Yes.
brushing the teeth, all of that, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. We protect our body, put on sunscreen, like put your bubble on.
1000%. That's a beautiful.
Especially right now. Right now is a shit show out there.
I know. Yes. And we're moving through so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you have been an absolute blessing. I love your story. I love your energy. I feel like if I needed to call you and talk to you about what we just talked about with my
Oh, you
mom,
totally can.
I could. But if I also wanted to call you and say, hey, listen, I had a dream about this guy and he said I'm his spirit guide, which is what happened, I could totally call you and you
Oh,
could help me get there. So you're like a woman of all trades. Yeah.
thank you.
But you have a lot of good, amazing tools to help people. You're following your purpose. And of course, if I needed help with sense of soul, you'd be my girl. So tell everybody where they can go.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way, you can find me on social media. I hang out on like my website's Rosalyn Fung, Rosalyn and Fung, like have some fun with a G .com. You can find me on Facebook. Connects with me personally, Rosalyn Fung on LinkedIn, and then Rosalyn Fung Coaching on Instagram. But I'll leave a link for you to share. I have a free soul visioning clarity guide where I'm actually opening up the Akashic records for you. It's an interactive guide. There's me being on video and walking you through the different areas of life, your life wheel, and for you to get real clear about what's important to you. And it's designed so that it gets you to take inspired action, because change doesn't happen without action. So it's absolutely one of the most important pieces. Knowledge is not power. It's about applying that knowledge and implementing it in the behaviors that then is the true power, because the result is what matters the most.
Wow, I so need Roz in my life. Oh my God.
Welcome in.
And I keep saying Roz because it's so fun to say Roz. And that's usually what I hear, from like Corey,
Yes.
who,
Yes.
we were
Yes.
connected through.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, I feel like we are very connected. So
Yeah. And you have your own podcast too.
I did. It's been completed actually for a couple years, but it's still out there. So it's called Activate Your Soulgasmic Business. So it was a podcast and a TV show. So you'll see it on my YouTube channel, Rosalyn Fung. Again, not hard to find me.
Yeah.
We can put all the links in the show notes. And yes.
Awesome. And then your TED Talk, which I'm going to put links to all of this amazing stuff so everyone can find you in every which way.
I love it. Thank you.
And then you have cool clothes.
I do love fashion.
I'm going to get those t-shirts.
Oh.
Love it. Yeah. All that on your website. Thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want the listeners to just please DM us. Let us know what the takeaways are. Put it in the reviews for Shanna and her podcast. I always love to hear people's takeaways. I love it. It makes my heart so happy. So
thank you, hon.
Sense of Soul.
Thanks for listening to Sense of Soul podcast, and thanks to our special guest. If you want more of Sense of Soul, check out my website at senseofsoulpodcast.com.